Awesome. Welcome to our blab on how to be an awesome accountability partner and also how to find an accountability partner. We are Sara and Cristina from One Woman Shop. I'm Cristina, and this is Sara.
Nice. You pointed the right way.
We'll see. We'll see when the replay comes out.
True.
Awesome. How are you today, Sara?
I'm good. I just switched over to my standing desk. I'm trying to get all my stuff organized again.
Lovely. Standing at my standing desk, and before I got on, I was dancing to Hotline Bling by Drake.
Oh, no. Don't tell me that.
Stuck in your head all day, isn't it?
Fortunately, no. But if you would have said Justin Bieber, which I just said, then that would be stuck in my head. So anyway, moving on.
So today we are doing a pretty quick little blab about how to form a great accountability relationship. So we're just going to toss out some tips. If you guys have any tips, we would love to hear them in the chat. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to post those. But Sara, you want to jump in with a great tip?
Yeah. So we both, in my solo business, have an accountability partner, and then we both take part in accountability groups through One Woman Shop with our espresso level members. So we both have kind of different experiences with accountability, but I think we can both agree that accountability can be super, super important in getting stuff done as a solopreneur when it's just you and your business at home or wherever you might be working from. It can just add a really, really awesome level of productivity. So the first tip that I want to give in actually creating a really solid accountability relationship is making it consistent. So the first time that I had a potential accountability partner who's a fantastic solopreneur, and I still love her work. I love her. But what happened was we both kind of came at it from this loosey-goosey, we'll talk when we want to talk type of thing. Let's not put anything solid on the calendar because we were both getting used to these flexible schedules. And we were like, we don't want meeting times or water cooler chats. We'll just keep it really casual. Well, what ended up happening is clearly we really just never talked. We didn't set up any sort of system for communicating on the regular, and that just kind of meant that we didn't want to bother each other, and we didn't have any expectations, and that really actually hurt us. So the first thing I would say is to really have clear expectations for the frequency in which you're going to communicate. And then clearly there's other ways to be consistent too. But that would be my first thing, is deciding, we're going to talk for 15 minutes on Monday morning and maybe 15 minutes on Friday afternoon. Do 2 quick bookend check-ins on the week, or we are going to check in via email or text every morning. Whatever that consistency is, put it in place from the beginning, and it can always shift and be flexible, but having some sort of expectation set right from the start.
Yeah, I love it. Tip. Okay. So we are also big fans of having consistency in terms of your system for communication. And so when you're choosing someone, if you love GChat, but the other person wants to talk on the phone and you hate the telephone, probably not going to be a great accountability relationship. So we have some ideas for ways of communicating. Obviously, email. We love video calls, so that's how we run our accountability group and all our meetings with each other. And Sara, you're a big fan of Slack. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Slack's an awesome, easy messaging channel for keeping in touch just quickly.
Can you give like a 1-sentence summary for people who might not be familiar?
Yeah, Slack is literally just a team communication app. So it does run separately from, it doesn't function in your inbox or whatever. It is something separate you have to open, but it's you can set up different channels for different conversations you want to have and have as many participants as you want. Tag people. It's super intuitive, very easy.
Awesome. And then along the same lines, we both also have a little bit, I have a little bit, I think you probably have more experience with I Done This.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I Done This is, I'm sorry if you wanted to get into that, but
go for it.
It's the whole idea of celebrating your to-dos as opposed to your to-dos, even though I Done This has grown where you can build a to-do list. But you set up teams in I Done This, and every day you just kind of go in and update the things you got done. They can be, sometimes I'll put in that I took a shower in there, like the simplest little things, because that can be a huge task. And then other people can view that, comment on it, give you a thumbs up, whatnot. So another great way to set up a team accountability.
Yeah, definitely. And so we've recommended this to our coaching clients as well who felt like they needed external accountability. We're like, set up an I done this account with your accountability partner so you have that constant check-in. Awesome. You want to do another tip? Should I?
Yeah. Let's stick with this consistency theme. So the other way to be consistent is in the format of your meetings. So when you do get together, however you're communicating, again, it goes back to expectations and also being able to be prepared. So if you come into it knowing how you want your check-ins to flow or to occur, you can better prepare. So for example, our accountability groups for One Woman Shop, we run them, and Cristina, this came from you. I'm not sure if you found it somewhere else, but we run them based on 3 things. So everybody comes to the table and shares a rose and a thorn from the last month, because we do meet on a monthly basis. So something good that happened, a high, and then a low, something bad that happened. And we kind of dig into those a little bit if people want to, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then the third thing I should say is that then we go around kind of a second round and share what we want to be held accountable for over the next month. So everybody can come to those meetings completely prepared with their rose, thorn, and accountability, even though sometimes we're still kind of scrambling on the calls, but we all know what to expect, and it keeps the calls flowing. It keeps everybody participating because they all know what's coming, and it just makes things go way smoother.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the piece that you referenced in terms of going around with that rose and thorn is we always try to remind people that you have basically 2 options when you are saying your rose and thorn. You can say, I'm just looking for a listening ear, or you can say, I'm looking for feedback. And we actually already did a blab on this, so you can head over to our replays if you're interested in learning more about that little technique. But the idea is basically, you know what you need, maybe, if you spend time thinking about it. And so people, sometimes I'll have what I think is great advice to share, but then I realize somebody doesn't actually want my advice. They just want me to say, wow, that sucks, or I understand. So being able to articulate what you're really looking for out of the accountability, we think is very important.
Yeah. And it sets you up to be more receptive to what people have to offer too. So previously I'd never really gone into accountability with that. And I think it is such a helpful tip, because sometimes people do just want to vent, and you want to give them the space to do that. And they're not necessarily looking for you to fix it. And sometimes we sit there and we're like, how can we fix this? We can't, but they're not looking for that. So super helpful.
For my mom, because my mom says I always try to problem solve, and sometimes she just wants me to listen. So thanks to Mom for that one.
Yes, we got our mom shout out in on our hot seat.
I have a mom reference. Yes.
Every time. I love it. We need to get moms watching this.
Yeah,
our moms, I should say.
Moms, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, any mom. So going kind of along the lines of being really specific in your ask is setting SMART goals. So when it comes to actually asking or sharing what you want to be held accountable for, being really specific in that as well. And that's something that we're always digging a little deeper into with our accountability groups, where it's not so much, I want to blog more. I want to have 3 posts up on my blog this month, every other Thursday. That doesn't make any sense because there's not 3 Thursdays in the month, but something that gives it a little bit more of a strict parameter so that you can be held accountable to something specific, but also being really realistic. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, actionable. The R always gets me.
Or the A can also be attainable, and I'm totally cheating. I just Googled it.
What's the R?
Realistic.
Relevant.
Sure.
Jen says I like realistic. Cool. And then time sensitive. So putting a time on it. Thank you. Thanks for the team effort there. I like that. So being really realistic and specific helps not only you in setting goals that you can attain and that matter for your business, but also help other people hold you accountable for them because they know exactly what they need to be looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of a side note on the goals is, so sometimes I won't say, so my accountability for yesterday's accountability group was I want to pitch or repitch 2 blog posts. And so it could have been, my goal was to get 2 blog posts on sites, but I don't have control over if people want my blog post. I mean, I'm going to do my best work and hope that they accept the blog post, but I don't have control over when they're going to run the post. And so focusing your goals on the stuff that you can control. I can control the number of posts I'm going to write and pitch, but I can't necessarily control how many run. So focusing on the parts that, again, you can control, we think is important.
I love that. That's a great example.
Thanks. I'll go next. I think it's my turn. About rewards and consequences. So this is not something that we actively use in our accountability group right now, but could potentially in the future. Is establishing rewards and then the consequence. So one great tip I've heard is if you do not complete your accountability piece, you have to donate to an organization that you hate. Because yeah, so basically you're going to get your stuff done because you don't want to donate to, say, like a political campaign that you don't support at all. So we don't use that technique right now, but that is one idea for making the most of rewards and punishments.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I do have to say the way our accountability groups are operating, and even my personal accountability relationship is not so much that if something doesn't get done, there's a consequence. It's more we try to dig into why it didn't get done and learn from that so that we can kind of help people push past barriers. But at the same time, consequences could be a really, really fun addition. And it doesn't have to be you holding your accountability partner to a consequence. You could implement consequences on your own. And likewise with rewards. I don't think, my accountability partner is probably not going to buy me a massage if I get that blog post up. But hey, if I want to go book that massage, then I can do that. So it's something that you can also do personally, which could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there's also, like, if you did want to do punishments, you could be like, I'm going to PayPal you $15. It's now in your account. If I accomplish what I said I was going to accomplish, you send it back to me. But if I don't, like, you get full control of that money. So I don't know. There's definitely little tricks that you could use depending on how harsh you want to get with yourself. But some people,
I like that though. I really like that.
Yeah, but cool. Sorry. I was gonna say just to read what you said about kind of getting to the root if something didn't get accomplished. We always ask, okay, well, what was standing in your way? And it might be that your goal that you had doesn't feel at all relevant anymore. And so definitely getting comfortable with moving past goals that you might not have accomplished, we think is also critical.
Yeah. And we are firm believers that you can accomplish something by dropping it. And part of accountability is just coming to terms with the fact that things change. And by knowing the specifics of a goal and how they relate to your business, you can be way more honest about when they don't necessarily fit into your plan anymore. And dropping it can be as good as getting it done.
And I just wanted to say kudos because we didn't get our Thrive reference in yet. And now you have officially gotten the Thrive reference into this lab. So great work. Because that's
all right. Do we have any more to hit here? I love it. We really like identifying patterns, clearly. Okay, so we kind of just shot off rapid fire tips for creating a strong accountability relationship, whether it's with one other person or a group, or sometimes even yourself. But if anybody has any tips that they want to contribute, feel free to throw them in the chat, and we can definitely invite you into a seat if you'd like to. But for now, let's kind of transition into how to find an accountability partner and how to choose them. And the first thing that I want to say is, and maybe this is what we should close on, but it's really, really, really important with accountability to be certain that it's the right fit. And that's why we'll talk a little bit more about choosing the right accountability partner, because with that example I shared at the beginning of I had a really great person that I wanted to be my accountability partner, but we didn't put the right parameters in place. I realized what the parameters needed to be. We needed to set a consistent meeting time, but that didn't work for her. we had to be really honest about the fact that even though we can still be collaborators and we can be friends as solopreneurs, we just weren't going to make great accountability partners because we wanted different things. So as we talk about how to choose, keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we did a OWS Accountability Week back in the day, I think even before you came on board, Sarah, and we had some great tips. So definitely take a look at those posts. You can just find them by going to One Woman Shop and looking up Accountability Week. So some of the tips that we highlighted were when choosing an accountability partner, look into if the person thrives in areas that you don't and vice versa. And I don't think that this is mandatory, but I think it can be very helpful. I think that you and I work well because of this, that there's a lot of areas where we overlap, but then there are plenty of areas where I'm like, oh, I can definitely learn so much from Sarah and hopefully you from me.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same goes with viewpoints. It's somebody that really believes in something and you might not necessarily believe in that, but that's okay because they can really open your mind to different things. So finding that certain level of agreement, but also difference can help you grow a lot. So the next kind of thing you want to look at is, or that we was looked at during Accountability Week, was whether or not the person utilizes the same forms of communication as you. And this can seem like such a small thing, like, oh, they prefer Skype, but I prefer Google Hangouts. No big deal, I'll just use Skype. But for some people, that can be a real sticking point. For example, I really hate email. Like, I have a serious hatred of my inbox. So an accountability partner that only wants to stay in touch via email will actually add to my stress as opposed to taking away from it. So that's why for my personal accountability, we talk on the phone once a week. And then we keep in touch actually via text, and that works out really well. That's why something like Slack might be a great tool for you. But if somebody doesn't want to log into Slack, and they're not going to open it, it's not going to work. So making sure that you have...
Oh, sorry. I was just saying tools are only as good as how often you use them.
Exactly. So making sure that you guys have a mutual understanding of how you're going to communicate and that you're both on board with that so that it's actually effective.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you say, like, obviously we always say it's not one size fits all, and you say text, and I'm like, ugh. First of all, I don't even have text. Second of all, using my phone, like, I love any app that I can connect with my computer because I'm always on my computer. So yeah, different strokes for different.
Well, and it's funny because I actually text through my computer. So yay, Apple.
There you go. So I know that we've all probably had experience with this where one person can give you feedback and you're like, I hate you and you're a terrible person. And another person can give you the exact same feedback. And for whatever reason, you're like, that's so true. Like, wow, thank you so much for that insightful wisdom. And so I think a lot of this comes just with experience of working together in whatever capacity. Maybe it's starting as accountability partners or it's starting through some other form of collaboration. But making sure that they're the kind of person that you both feel like you can give feedback to and they'll be receptive, but also that you can accept feedback from. So that's kind of like airy-fairy and hard to define, but important.
Yeah, because my first question is like, how do you know? But you really don't know until you actually engage with that person. And sometimes it just depends on the day, to be honest. We are women. But the one thing is it goes back to just being honest. So is it a bad day and you're just kind of hungry and you're not reacting well? Or is it that you really just can't take feedback from this person because you don't like how they're delivering it, and vice versa? And that's where, again, you have to be honest about whether or not it's actually going to work out. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview of actually meeting with people. Oh my gosh, a phone ringing is so weird. I'm sorry. So yeah, is there anything that anybody else would like to add? And I'm going to throw the link there to our Accountability Week. And like Cristina said, it's actually from 2013, which is really exciting because that's the first year One Woman Shop existed. So it's kind of fun to look back at that stuff, but it's still super useful. But in the meantime, do you want to kind of talk about where people can find accountability partners?
Yeah, I think that we have a number one place where we think you should find an accountability partner. And that is obviously.
What might that be?
I think it's at the site One Woman Shop. So our special 11 members, we think one of the biggest perks, besides getting access to all our e-courses and workbooks, is the accountability group. And so we love our accountability groups, and we have so much fun with them. And then, like Sarah said, we meet once a month on Google Hangout, and then in between we do follow-ups. And so kind of just keeping up to date. And Sarah's really good about taking notes and then following up with people specifically. And she's like, how's that thing that you said you were going to do? How's that going? And so,
I love when people do that to me. So I just return the favor.
Yeah. We had a monthly check-in and a weekly check-in on top of that. But Sarah, I know you have an accountability partner. Do you want to talk about how you guys connected, or how other ways that people might find?
Yeah. So that was actually, I was just communicating with a fellow solopreneur through, I think, Twitter and different Facebook groups. And at one point she had called me because she had a very specific question and she thought I might be a good person to give her feedback. And at that moment we were like, you know what, maybe we should talk weekly. And it kind of just evolved into that. But it did start really via Twitter. So that's kind of interesting to think about. But the other place in terms of social networks that's really great to look at is Facebook groups. So there's a lot of freelancer Facebook groups. Clearly we love our private Facebook group for One Woman Shop, but other Facebook groups out there that are just filled with solopreneurs, side hustlers, freelancers, that are more than willing and open to finding really great accountability relationships. The one tip we give when you're kind of going out in a general manner like that is to be really specific about what you're looking for. We've told a couple of our coaching clients who are looking for accountability relationships, write a job description. It doesn't have to be something you post. It doesn't have to be formal, but write it out in the mindset of you're hiring this person, just so that you can be clear in your expectations and, again, get off on the right foot.
Definitely. I love it. And then we also both have, I think I speak for both of us, but I love co-working spaces. Sarah, have you spent much time at co-working spaces?
No, I consider Starbucks my co-working space.
Like, ask the barista, would you like to be my accountability partner? No?
Seriously. You give me coffee, I'll do my work.
Yeah, right. No, but so I definitely have experienced quite a few co-working spaces traveling around the world. And so, yeah, definitely meeting people there is awesome. And then you can do the in-person meetings. And so we're all online normally. And so it's not to be overlooked that you can meet another human being face-to-face. You're allowed.
It does happen.
It happens. Cool.
No, and I really like that too, Cristina. It'd be interesting to see if, if you're in a place for a short amount of time as opposed to being there for a couple months. If, you could say, hey, I came on this writing retreat, I'm going to get this co-working space for a week. If you could find somebody to hold you accountable just in that short amount of time, how much more effective that time could be. Because I know we do have a lot of people in the community that will travel around frequently and head to different co-working spaces just for a day or just for a week. So I think it would be a really great way to also meet with people and learn more about what they're working on too.
Yeah, absolutely. Good in-person networking.
Yeah.
Speaking of meeting people in person, I know you listed one more. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I think you're referring to conferences, and there are a ton of great conferences out there, and it's, again, just a great way to meet people or to meet fellow solopreneurs in person and create more solid relationships, only in terms of being able to get a deeper understanding of who that person is from the get-go. So meeting somebody, it just adds a different level of perspective on them. But conferences are short-lived, and one of the things that we talk about before people go to conferences is really networking with the people that are going to be there via Twitter lists or whatever the conference provides in terms of attendee lists. And then that's a great way to then continue relationships afterwards. I do want to give one caveat, which we always have caveats, to this whole thing, is that it is possible to build in too much accountability.
I was going to bring this up. I'm so glad you did that. I was thinking this. I'm going to put her on the spot and ask her. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely got myself into a place where I had my one-on-one accountability relationship. I had a master class of 6 other women business owners that was very much for accountability. I had the one woman shop accountability. And then, I have Cristina as a business partner, and I have a business coach. All of a sudden I was like, I have way too much accountability. Like, this is no longer realistic. And I always felt like I had to come with something brand new to each accountability meeting or whatever it might be. So I actually did have to take a step back and kind of list out, do a little brain dump of all the places where I had accountability built in and say, all right, what's really working for me and what could I actually live without? And so I have pared down, and it's actually helped a lot, but it also helps that I use the same accountability goal in 2 different places often. And that actually is great for me, because even if one group isn't going to really be able to hold me accountable, I've got 2 groups of people that are watching. So it is definitely possible to just get overwhelmed with accountability, though. Have you had any experience with that, Cristina?
No, I was joking recently. I was like, I hired a personal trainer, and then we hired a business coach, and there was someone else where I was like, went from having like a business partner, obviously, but to now having all this external accountability. And I think it can be great if you know what you're doing and what you're working on. I think one of the risks is people pulling you in different directions. And you think like, oh, these are my accountability partners, or this is my business coach. They can't possibly pull me in different directions because they're looking out for me. But people can be looking out for you and also be kind of dividing your attention and taking you in directions you don't necessarily want to go. So I guess my words of wisdom there would be, know yourself and know your worth. No, I was going to rap, but I'm not going to. That was a great reference. No, but definitely know your business and know your goal.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, wrapped or just said. I like it.
But I think that's definitely, and I was going to say the other risk is that you could potentially be spending so much time. You're both spending time during the actual kind of accountability sessions, but then you are spending time now having to hold other people responsible or accountable. So now you have kind of extra work that can be distracting you from actually just doing your goals. And so I think we're all about giving back by being a great accountability partner to other people. But if you're spending all your time checking in on others, you're not going to really have time for your business.
Yeah, it's definitely that you're not going to be the best business owner you can be, but you're also not going to be the best accountability partner. Just like we go back to self-care. If you're not taking care of yourself, it's hard to take care of others. Yeah. But yeah, your example of the personal trainer made me laugh because I was thinking about, I'm thinking about registering for a half marathon because I'm like, that'll really keep me accountable to a running schedule. But then I'm like, I'm also in this yoga challenge. Oh wait, I'm also in this water drinking challenge. And I'm like, all these, you can actually build way too much accountability into your personal fitness or any aspect of your life. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, how am I going to run every day, do yoga every day, drink 80 ounces of water every day? I'm like, yeah, not all of this is bad stuff, but I have to be a little bit more realistic about my body's capacities.
Yeah. No, I think that in the past I used to be extremely goal oriented and like I would be the person who would sign up for challenges. And now I probably swung the pendulum a little too much, but on the other flip side, I'm like, I don't want to do any of your challenges. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sign up for this. I'm not going to sign up for that. I'm like, no, I have my routine. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, everyone's like, I feel like people are like, do this, do that. I'm like, no, I do what I want to do. So, blessing and a curse. So.
Yeah, no, it really is. Cool. I really hope this was super helpful for people. And again, we welcome people to join the One Woman Shop accountability group. You get that with espresso level membership. And we have a lot of fun in there. So if you have any questions, let us know. But we're here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the hot seat. Next week, we are talking about
multi-passionate.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. The effective multi-passionate lifestyle.
Yeah. So excited about that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Have a good day.